Welcome to the Golden Ratio Podcast. I am Jen, GR Mom, joined as always by GR Dad.
Hi.
How's it going, GR Dad?
Good.
Excellent, excellent.
This is a surprise.
Early pod, because we have so much to talk about.
Sneaky.
From Maryland and the drive back, and now we're in Florida again. But there's also going to be like a lot this week, so we're maybe doing like 2 podcasts this week.
Just when you thought you could relax. Stop relaxing.
The cocktail of the week this week is the snake juice. No snakes were harmed or even used in the making of this cocktail.
Or juiced.
The snake juice is brown sugar, coffee, spiced rum, gin, and coffee liqueur. It sounds like it would be so good, and I made it, but I was not much of a fan. And I think it's because it's like you can really taste the gin in it, and it didn't work for me. But that's like a personal taste thing, and not necessarily that it's just bad. But you didn't like it either.
It is too gin kind of forward and late. There's a lot of, the gin flavor comes through. So I guess if you're looking for a gin flavored cocktail, this is your cocktail.
Gin and coffee, and if you're like, ooh, those would be good together, you will like this drink.
And
very
it's
much.
sweet.
It is sweet, yeah.
Don't ask for tangy.
No tang. No. Okay.
You know how they milk snakes? Have you ever seen how they milk the snakes for venom?
I have, but why don't you talk about it?
It's cool. They make them bite into like a balloon rubber thing.
Uh-huh.
And they think they're biting something, and then they inject the venom into the cup that's under the under the rubber.
Yeah.
It's cool.
Awesome.
And no people have to get bitten.
Yes, that would be a little counterproductive.
Speaking of juicing snakes. Okay. Next.
All right. It's time for Administrative Corner.
Oh, I love Administrative Corner.
Ingo?
I drove 20 hours yesterday to get to Administrative Corner today.
10,000 people sent me this extremely important update, which is there has been a sentencing in the weights in fish scandal.
Weights in fish.
The 2 guys who put the weights in the fish, and if you don't know what we're talking about, you got to go back and listen to past episodes, because we have been on the ball
Cultural
covering
touchstone.
the fish scandal and all other scandals related to the men, Jacob Runyon and Chase Kaminsky, who were involved in the fish scandal. So
Fish fraud.
they entered a fishing tournament. They stuffed lead weights into the fish and some fish fillets, but the lead weights, like for real.
And some fish fillet, though. You made them cannibalized.
And they, at the tournament when they were weighing the fish, someone was like, "That's no 5-pound fish." And they cut the fish open, and there were weights in the fish. And the guy goes, "We've got weights in fish." And everyone, I'm kind of surprised they didn't murder these guys. They were real mad. So anyway, they got arrested.
They put so many weights in there. Those fish were the densest objects on Earth, briefly.
Yeah, they indeed. So they pled guilty. They were going to go to trial, and we were all ready to talk about the trial. And then on the day of trial, they showed up and pled guilty. So they were sentenced last week. They will each serve 10 days in jail with 6 months probation. They also have to forfeit their boat and trailer to the Ohio Department of Natural Resources Division of Wildlife. And they have to pay a $2,500 fine. But if they make a charitable contribution of $1,250 to a nonprofit organization, then half the fine could be suspended. So they could give, instead of giving $1,250 to the court, they could give half of that to a charity, and then that would get deducted from what they give to the court. That's pretty nice.
Yeah, that's the court encouraging charity. This is their own boat and trailer, not like one they won.
So this doesn't say that, but they won a $100,000 boat, and they have to turn it over. So I think that's the boat.
It's not like seizing someone's car or something. They won the boat. They have to give it back.
So Ingo, this might be the worst part for the guys. The judge imposed a 3-year suspension of their state fishing licenses.
Good.
No more, no fishing allowed.
No, you can go to like the giant grocery store and buy a fish like a normal, common person.
These are dudes who enter fishing tournaments, and they're not even allowed to like catch a bluegill in a pond for 3 years.
If they tell a fishing story, everyone knows they're lying.
And that probably would be a violation of their probation.
They probably lie anyway.
And then they go back to jail.
That was the whole problem with
one
weights
was
in
like
fish.
The stalker stalked the girlfriend. He's got other charges on that. I have Google News alerts for both of these guys set up. So like if there's any more business, you guys, I'm going to tell you about it.
Yeah, I mean, this probably wasn't the first time they cheated in a tournament, right? Was it implied in the initial story that they'd like won a few of these, and now you wonder, were these all like 400-pound fish?
Were there so many weights in fish?
400 pounds? It's a 3-inch bass.
Yeah. So anyway, there you go. That's the fish update. There's
this
other
is
stuff.
Breaking news. This is administrative though? Or
yeah,
it's
administrative. I feel like fish updates are now just administration on the podcast. It's core.
I think it should be lumped together. I have an item for administrative update later if you'd like it, or now.
Yeah, do it now. I've got one more, but let's do yours.
Hopper has a hard time with only one leg and stuff, but the good news is that Hopper T. Golbeck just got a pharmacy savings card from CVS.
Yes, it came in the mail.
She's in the business now. This is for
quite administrative.
Hopper Golbeck with our address on it. We got it in the mail. And
there's like a group number on there and everything?
Pharmacy savings card for Hopper. Yeah, Hops, you're going to have to buy prescriptions for all your brothers and sisters now because you have the save up to 80% on your prescriptions, Hops. We don't know your birth date that CVS has for you, but, otherwise you're in business. So we got actually 2 of these plastic cards now for Hopper.
Yep.
Fantastic.
If any of you want to use her number, let me know and I'll take a picture of this and send it. I don't know that it will help you.
They'll be like, this Hopper has a lot of weird prescriptions in various states.
I got to say, I think I've mentioned before that when I was married the first time, my first husband was on a lot of medicines, both for some physical and mental health issues, which were quite acute at the time. And so they were, Ingo, that's making terrible podcast sounds, and you don't need to read the back of the card.
Okay. She might have to sign it. This might be a problem. Oh my God. Okay, go ahead.
Now, do you want to sort that before I tell this story?
No, go ahead. Run in. Sorry, bad timing.
I think it's like, ooh, I better peel this off the little paper here and see what's on the back of the cards. Let's just move on. Are we done with this?
No, tell your story.
No.
No, you can't just abandon the listeners who now are curious about your story. Just
we didn't have insurance, and I think I used one of these cards. That was it. It was going to be a long ramble. It's not necessary. Do you have anything else about the cards before I move on to the next thing on Administrative Corner?
That was a terrible story you just told. That was badly told. I am a little disappointed.
Well,
you're punishing everyone for my misdeed.
That's
now they're
going to
hate
story.
me. Now they're going to pitchfork me
no.
because I distracted you from telling a story that they were all interested in. Now they're going to be like coming with torches and pitchforks.
Nothing you could do would make the listeners not like you.
That's what Frankenstein's monster thought, and then all of a sudden, torches and pitchforks.
All right, let me tell a different story here. Since you telling me I disappointed everyone. So I dated many psychos in college, but the first one in the string came from an extremely dysfunctional household, as did all of them, which seems like maybe it's connected. Mm-hmm. But they had never celebrated birthdays or holidays or stuff. They were Jewish, so they could have done Hanukkah and everything, but they just they would do the kind of all right, we're going to have holiday dinner, but they didn't give presents or anything. And so we started dating in the fall of my freshman year, and
when all the holidays come up.
So he didn't do any of his holidays, but I was like, okay, holidays. And I think his birthday was in January, maybe. So it was all kind of close together. And I remember taking him to the mall and in early December. And, they had, I remember going into some coffee place. I don't know if it was Gloria Jean's or some kind of late 90s coffee place you could buy bags of coffee and stuff, and they have the gift boxes, right? So there's a mug, and then in a fancy little box a mug and some coffee, and I don't know, some stuff you put in coffee, whatever. And he was like, oh, they just put the gift all together for you. His mind was blown because they'd never done presents before.
But he also didn't go shopping very much.
I guess not. I don't know. So anyway, for his birthday, I was like, I'm going to give him a whole bunch of presents for his birthday because poor guy has never gotten presents before. But I'm a broke college student, so I can't do much. I know. I think this is a very nice thing that I did.
Yeah.
So we did the 12 days of this guy's birthday, and I gave him a little present every day. And it was based around senses. So there was a sense of taste present, and I don't know, I made him cookies or something. And there was a sense of smell present, and I I don't know.
Peppermint?
I think some like bath thing or something. I mean, it was all like little tiny stuff. And then there was one day and I just forgot that I had to give him a present for that day. And he was all like, ooh, what's my present today? So I was like, hang on, like, let me go back in my dorm room and get your present. And I came out with an envelope and I gave it to him and I was like, hello, today your present is the sense of disappointment. You get nothing.
You get nothing. Did he like it though?
No, he did not.
Oh, come on.
I thought it was a little funny. He had gotten like 10 days of presents already.
Seriously. Come on.
Right, so there you go. All right.
You give good presents, just for the record.
So do you.
Like,
You give great
no
presents.
one will be surprised.
Are we ready for the next item in Administrative Corner?
Yes.
Okay, so there's a Golden Ratio fan account, the Perfect Bestest Hopper Tea. It's at Perfect Hopper. The bio for Perfect Hopper is Golden Ratio for fan account devoted to Hops being the best dog in the house. Also, GR Otter name, Bestest Seaster, Vink Law, Vood's Long Tail, Remy's Floofy Tails. So this is who we're dealing with here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So
Okay.
Perfect Bestest Hopper Tea wrote a post last week and they said, I wrote a silly little essay about what friends of the squad taught me and sent it off to a few colleges with my transcripts before forgetting about them. Apparently, that little tiny community college in New York did not forget about it because I got in. Because of the friends of the squad. You all rock. And I was like, show me your admission letter to Columbia, Perfect Bestest Hopper Tea. And they sent it to me.
This is game recognized game. This is Ivy League code recognizes Ivy League code.
Because I was like, I'm reading this and I'm like, little tiny community college in New York. And I was like,
Has to be.
I know what this is. I was like, let me see the Columbia letter. And so they sent it to me. And they also sent me their admissions essay. And I was like, I promise not to share your admissions essay. I think they're going to share it publicly. But I don't want to like read directly from it because like this is their thing. And they said it was okay for me to talk about this.
Oh, great.
But I didn't ask permission. Like, could I just read verbatim your admissions essay? But I read a lot of admissions essays in my life as I decide what students get into grad school.
Yes, with your immense power over people's lives.
It is a tiny, tiny amount of power. But it's like a really lovely essay. And it talks, there's a lot of stuff covered in there, but it talks a lot about how they come from a background where like they couldn't necessarily get support from family or institutions for stuff they were figuring out, whether that's like institutions weren't supportive or family just like had no background because like they're doing things that their family hadn't done before. And how like the friends of the squad, which is how it's referred to in their admissions essay, were like supportive and encouraged them to like, stand up for themselves, showed them how to put on like their master's degree academic regalia when they graduated because like no one in their family could show them that. So it is a lovely essay. And it was just really nice for us to see, because I did read this and go, for us to see like, we didn't have anything to do with this, except that we put the dogs on the internet. And then there's this whole like community that you all do your own things around it, but like how impactful it was this person. And apparently how impactful it was for that little tiny Ivy League school in New York called Columbia that let them in.
Yeah, it's easy to dismiss social media friendships as social media friendships, but they can be as good or better than friendships that happen from working together or being in person.
I totally agree. I have lots of really good internet friends.
Opportunities to share things on social media that you wouldn't have if you're just like drinking together in bars or something. So it's what you make it, and it's really nice to have a great community out there who likes our dogs maybe more than we do sometimes, but
Remy, looking at you.
But that is also just really supportive and just nice and just needs any little excuse to do something nice for a cause or someone. It's really nice.
So there you go. That's Administrative Corner.
What a good one. As always, the best part of this whole podcast was that.
All right.
So all downhill from here, folks.
It's time for dog updates.
Yeah.
Okay. We have a whole smattering of random things that I think covers most of the dogs, except maybe for Vink.
Smattering.
All right. First, So Ingo planted a little basil plant in our garden in Maryland, and we have a lot of snails and slugs in Maryland that like to eat the basil.
Somehow there are holes in all the leaves.
And
They're not
so-
gone, but there's like a little hole in every leaf.
And I was like, Ingo, I have dealt with this before, and I solved it by putting coffee grounds. And I do want to pause here. It was like when I bought the house, I was like, stuff keeps eating my basil. And one of my friendly colleagues was like, if you put used coffee grounds around the base of the basil, like that kind of drives away the slugs. And sure enough, it worked. But I don't drink coffee. I mean, not like anti-coffee, but I never make coffee at home. I don't usually have it in the house for myself. And so I was like, well, I don't have any used coffee grounds. So I went out and I like bought a can of Folgers, and I was like, I don't have a coffee pot either, and I'm not going to drink it. So I like took a giant pot and I put the whole thing of Folgers in there with a bunch of water, and I boiled it for a while, and then I like strained the water off so I could get the used coffee grounds. And it was like literally a year later that I was like, you know what? I could have used just the regular coffee grounds. Like people say to use used ones because it's like garbage.
It's cheaper.
And it's like another use for this coffee yet anyway. I didn't actually have to boil that stuff.
You didn't have to make it used
No.
before.
Anyway.
That's all you were going to use the coffee for. You could just pour the Folgers into it.
Could have. So anyway, I was like, Ingo, our basil is getting eaten, but I know for a fact that in my garden, putting coffee grounds around the bottom of the basil will make it not get eaten.
I was like, this is great. So I got the like coffee filters that I had with them grounds in them, and I poured it. Well, you watched. We did it together in the garden.
yes, you like dug them out of the trash, put it around the basil.
little basil, and I was like, be safe, little basil.
And we were like,
Can
the
be
basil is protected.
Protected from evil spirits.
And then
slugs.
later, forward, later, Remy goes outside, and we're like, what's he doing out there? And what he was doing was like, ooh, coffee grounds, delish.
Ugh, Remy, you smelled his breath.
And Ingo's like, he was eating the coffee grounds. I was like, no, oh no, how much? And he's like, no, not too much. And he came up to me, and I was like, hello, Remy. And then he's like, and I was like, ooh, coffee breath. Like he smelled like coffee.
But
he did it twice.
I know. He did a lot of like late night reading that night. He was very alert.
Like a couple hours later, Ingo's like, guess who forgot to clean up those coffee grounds? And I was like, oh, I see, more Remy coffee. And he was like, my head feels like it's sparkling.
I mean, he actually, I mean, it sounds funny, but his behavior wasn't different. He didn't seem
he was fine.
more alert or more hyper or anything like that. So, whatever. He just thought the flavor was interesting.
Yep. So that's Remy.
And coffee grounds.
We got to go visit Ched's.
I know. That was great.
So we had Ched's new family over to our house last week, which we talked about briefly. And they're like, would you like to come see Ched's? And I was like, yep. What day? What time? We're there.
They didn't bring Ched's because it would have been really stressful with him and Remy, as it was when Ched's lived with us.
Indeed. So we went over to their house and we got to see Ched's. And he was like laying out on the porch. And I went up. I was like, hi, Ched's. And he's like a little uncertain. And I was like, he's going to smell me. And then, and I got down. I was like, hi. And then he's like, wag, wag, wag,
Oh,
wag,
yeah,
wag.
he
And he
was, like,
licked
licking
my
you.
face.
He loves you.
So good. I love
Yeah.
that boy so much.
He's such a good boy.
So we got to see him. We had a lovely visit.
They adore him, and he has a brother and a sister.
Yep.
And
Finn
I like
Daisy.
them too.
Yes, especially Finn. We were leaving, and Ingo's like, I think we need to take Finn.
Finn's a golden cream, white golden,
Yeah.
like harkens back to Voods. And
What is CB?
was a
Chopped
very-
liver?
CB has his own thing. CB's like
You think Finn had Vood's energy, though? I don't think so.
No, not Voods energy, just
No.
sort of in looks and more skinny face, right? Brody has that broad face. Brody looks like a big teddy bear.
Vood's had a big face, though.
Yeah, but not the broad head. He had a more shapely head, like a more guac shaped head.
Shapely.
He had a shapely head.
All right, well, we each have our own memories of Vood's. Mine
Anyway,
are right.
I liked Finn just
Yeah.
the way he was.
He's a nice boy.
Yes. And Ched's parents have also figured out how to put all three of them in a camper and take them up to Minnesota
Yeah.
and put booties on Ched, which is pretty amazing. I mean,
Yeah.
that takes a lot more patience than I sometimes would have had. I'm like, you're fine. You're not going outside then.
So one little interesting thing to come from this is that we were kind of talking about, like first meetings and whatever. And I think they had asked, like, how did you and Ingo meet? And so I was telling him, about a story I've told on the podcast, which is like we met at this hockey game. Like a mutual friend of ours, Ingo had tickets, and the mutual friend invited me. We went to this hockey game. And
I had a beard, and you thought I looked stupid.
I didn't. I thought you looked like a homeless lumberjack.
That's a long way of saying stupid.
I think homeless lumberjacks can be perfectly nice.
Not me. Not me.
You just didn't do it for me. When you shaved the beard, you did.
Yes.
But anyway, we were telling this story, and Alex, Cheddar's dad. So both of Cheddar's parents are professional photographers.
And both their names start with an A, which I find very suspicious.
Oh, interesting.
Suspicious.
So, and they both have shot sports games, and Alex was like
professionally. I mean, this is not
photographed professional sports.
This is not me taking a picture of my daughter at her high school crew meet. This is good stuff.
Yes, and so Alex was like, I might have been at that game because it was a playoff game in 2011, and so I went home and I was like, okay, April 23rd, 2011, Game 5, Capitals Rangers. And I'm like, that's the game that Ingo and I met at. And he's like, yep, I was there, and shows me a picture of like the AP website with a photo that he took of Ovechkin and Backstrom at that game. And he's like, Caps won 3-1. And I was like, yes, they did. So
it's a small world.
Pretty interesting. Yeah.
It shows that he's a Caps fan, which is good.
So we had a great time hanging out with them. And also it was lovely to see our boy Cheds again.
It was. He's doing so well. He's very well taken
happy.
care of, and very much he seems very secure in being loved.
What I thought was really nice is that like I obviously was like, I miss so much my boy, and like was hugging him and getting all up on his face, and so we had like a nice little reunion. And then when we were done, he like got up and walked away from me and like walked over to his mom and was like, hi, I love you too.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, that's great. Like
that's
he
right.
missed me, but he loves mom.
He's in a great place.
Yeah.
Yep.
So good. All right, so that's Ched.
We should all be so lucky. I'm just saying.
Indeed. Yeah.
I don't think they're accepting any human fosters.
I bet if you applied, you might be accepted. You had a very good time.
There was beer. It was good beer.
Yeah, and a lot of it. Okay. Let's see. All right. So we drove home yesterday. We left at...
We drove home. We traveled the length of the United States again, like as close. We are wont to do.
Yeah, so we left just after 6 a.m. We were really good on leaving on time.
You know why?
Why?
Because you're very efficient and very organized.
I mean, we were all packed up. You always get up before me, though, and fortunately I woke up in time for me to be moving a little earlier than I would.
Because I have to build in like putter time. Like I had to fold dish towels or something. Yeah. That takes it takes some time to fold the dish towels.
So we were on the road like before 6:15, and it had like our ETA is like 12:15 and 12:30, and I was like
midnight 30,
and I was like, listen, Ingo, we're not letting this slip very much. I'm like, I know you like to walk the dogs around and like give them time to do their business and get enriched. No. We're taking them out. They get like 30 seconds to pee or do whatever they have to do, and then we're putting them back in and we're leaving.
They were all surprised when I like would yank them back after, a very short. They're like, but Ingo, this is not how we do things. There's some sniffs over there.
It's not how Ingo does things. Like when we would do this, Ingo takes a dog, and then I take all 4 other dogs in the time it takes him with the one dog who's just like sniffing that one interesting spot.
I'm like, Hops, if you want to lie down and eat some grass, Hops, that's fine. And you're like,
I'm like, nope. I'm like, pick her. I'm going to pick her up.
Are up. Yeah. Your 2 minutes are up.
So we made it home by 1 a.m.
Yeah, it was amazingly.
That has never happened.
So much easier. When we came up, you will all recall, kind listeners, that we got there in like 4.
It's like 3:30.
There were. I mean, we left later, but we also
just barely though. We were on the road by 6:30. It was like 15 minutes.
We just hit more traffic around. DC.
No, not even that much traffic. It was long stops.
Really?
Like we would lose 15 minutes every time.
I think you were going faster too on the way back. You have a heavier foot. You were in the back of your mind. You're like, if I add 5 miles an hour now, you were like, then the calculation concludes. Then statistically, I should be more likely.
I definitely do that math in my head.
Yeah.
But it was pretty good.
Yeah,
so
it was. And it didn't rain too hard, and there wasn't too much traffic. I mean, everything did kind of work out real well.
It was like this trip was surprisingly unpainful, where last time we did it, we got back and I was like, we're never fucking doing that again. That was terrible.
Yeah, I mean, because we're on dog updates, all the dogs cooperated, and no one was, apparently freaking out, having to stop out of schedule or out of sync. I mean, everything worked out. We had a little dog bed for Brody.
That's on my list.
Oh, there we go. Sorry, that's for Brody.
Good. Let's talk about it. So Brody likes to sit between the driver and passenger seat, which is just like the floor of the car. So it's like hard and it's bumpy.
Right over the engine.
There's like a little ridge from like the cab part to the floor of the RV part, and he just kind of lays on it. You can tell it makes him sore. So we got like a little memory foam dog bed pad and put it down there, and it is like exactly the size, like wedged right in between the seats. He was so much more comfortable in that spot.
He seemed just more comfortable. Like every bump wasn't going through to all his bones.
Yep.
He seemed very happy, and he wasn't trying to climb on the passenger seat either.
No, he stayed there the whole time.
Yeah.
So that was great. So we made it home. We're not doing that trip again for a long time.
We always say.
But no, last time I said I'm never doing it again.
That's true. So that's been broken because once is not never anymore.
And we had a very good time when we were up there.
Yeah. Springtime is nice. We don't have that here. It was nice to see. We've talked about this last time. It's nice to see springtime.
Yeah. So that was that. The only other dog update is that there is a medicine called Librela, which is a monoclonal antibody injection for treating arthritis. And it has been approved in Europe and I think in Canada for a while. And when Hops was like up at the Ohio State University and like didn't get any help, a couple of people were like, you could try Librela. And I was like, ooh, looks great. So I emailed the vet and I was like, why haven't we tried Librela? And she's like, good question. And it's because it wasn't approved by the FDA.
For cats, yes, right?
Yes, it's called something else for cats. Soliquin? No, that's
quite Soliquin. I got it written down somewhere.
Anyway.
I think I erased it.
It was cat approved, but not dog approved. And then we were like, well, we'll see if we can find a source in Europe to get some. But hey, the vet emailed me last week.
Solencia.
Okay. Vet emailed me last week and was like, hey, it's approved. We've already ordered some to give to Hops. So hopefully like in the next week or so, it's going to come in and Hops will be able to get the injection. And I don't understand exactly how it works, but it has something to do with the nerves that register arthritis pain. And it's like a once a month thing. And it's apparently like amazing. And so I'm very excited to try it for her.
It would be great.
Yep. So that's it for dog updates.
Well, the update for her is that she went swimming again today, which was a joyous event. Yes. For her and for everyone else. And she seems to have tolerated it very well. And now she's sleeping.
Everyone was very happy to swim today.
Yes, but also now they're tired.
Yeah. We're all a little tired still.
Yeah, I didn't even go swimming. I'm tired.
All right. You ready for ramblings?
I am.
Friend of the squad, Des, sent me this article, which is on the CNN website. And the headline is, please don't use guns to fish.
Oh, my God.
Kansas officials warn. And it's got a picture of like a gun and like a magazine and a single bullet and a badge, and then some Ziploc that has like shell casings in it.
Goodness
like
gracious.
Evidence. And the caption is, a 9mm handgun that was being used to fish was seized by a Findlay County game warden in Garden City, Kansas.
Ugh.
Officials from the Kansas Department of Wildlife and Parks came across a fishy situation last Friday after finding a firearm allegedly being used to fish.
Come on.
A Findlay County game warden seized a 9mm handgun that was, quote, being used to take fish in Garden City. The warden said that written violations were issued for, quote, illegal means of take of fish and, quote, no fishing license. They also reminded Kansans that firearms are not a legal means to take fish.
He was shooting at the water.
Yeah.
Come on.
While firearms can't be used to fish in Kansas, it is legal to fish with a bow and arrow or a crossbow.
How about dynamite?
I don't believe it speaks to dynamite in this article.
It's very effective, although inefficient.
The wardens added that non-sport fish may be taken only with a fishing pole and line, trot lines, set lines, gig, crossbow, or bow and arrow with a line attached. So I guess that rules out dynamite. So-called non-sport fish include carp, drum, grass carp, threadfin, and gizzard shad, goldfish, gar, suckers, eel, shovel-nosed sturgeon, goldeye, and bowfin.
Goldfish.
I love that there's a whole list here too.
Non-sport fish.
All those eels in Kansas.
Wait, you can bow and arrow a bass, but you can't bow and arrow a trout? Or you can use a bow and arrow for these non-sport
Look,
fish.
I'm going to let you look up the... Oh, you can use a bow and arrow for the non-sport fish.
You can bow and arrow a carp.
Yes, absolutely.
So sad.
A gizzard shad, absolutely crossbow that thing.
How about a sturgeon?
Only a shovel-nosed sturgeon.
But as we know from watching, we've done a lot of research on sharks through our shark movies.
This is what I was thinking.
Guns do not work on sharks.
Every fucking shark movie, people try to shoot the sharks, and in 0% of shark movies does it work.
It starts with the jaws, right? Don't they have a rifle? And he's shooting his rifle at the shark, and it doesn't have any effect. No. It does not work.
No.
You can't shoot a shark.
Because the bullets hit the water, and then they slow down. Did you guys not see that Mythbusters?
There's a Mythbusters
It's
for
so good.
everything.
Yeah.
If you ever wonder about anything, but after Wikipedia, try Mythbusters, because they will have tried it.
Yep.
I mean, seriously, like, do I breathe more through one nostril than the other? Mythbusters, I'm sure tried it.
Also, have you guys not watched CSI? Not you guys, the people who listen to this podcast. You guys, the people who shoot at fish. They do you not know about forensics where they shoot the gun into the water tank to recover the bullets to compare? It's a tiny water tank because bullets slow down extremely fast if you hit water. You can't just shoot something in the water.
Are there fish in the water tank?
No.
Is the matter giving them the idea? Is it a fish tank?
In addition to being illegal, using guns to shoot fish can be dangerous, according to the game wardens.
That is the most bureaucratic statement. What they should have said, in addition to being illegal, shooting guns at fish is also stupid, is what they should have said. It's stupid.
Shooting at a body of water can be a dangerous activity because bullets can ricochet off the surface of the water.
They sure can.
So there you go. Just in the line of us talking about fish stuff, I thought that was worth doing.
Did they take the guy to jail?
He was not taken to jail. He just got a written citation.
Kansas needs to put people in jail more.
Yeah. All right. Are you ready for Taste of the Keys? I'm so excited about Taste of the Keys.
Yeah.
Okay. So as you guys know, I operate...
You have, by the way, you told me not to check any Keys-related news because you were so excited and didn't want to spoil this. So I'm coming into this like a babe, a newborn babe. I have no knowledge of this.
I run an account at Don't Bite Anyone on Twitter, which is just news of people getting arrested for biting other people. And so I get a Google News alert every day for arrested biting.
Any of you could do if you're interested in biting stories.
That's right. And then we can text each other about it. And so the very first item today in the Google News update for people arrested for biting is woman accused of biting cop on Key West's Mallory Square, misusing 9/11. And I was like, a taste of the Keys.
Misusing 911.
Biting story. I'm so excited.
Wow.
Okay.
This combines everything. It's got everything.
I know. Key West FLA. A Seattle woman is facing multiple felony charges in Key West after police accused her of misusing 911 and biting an officer, all following an obscenity-laced tirade at a city employee who asked her to leave a bathroom on Mallory Square Thursday. According to an arrest report, around 9:30 a.m., a city employee asked Maya to leave the women's restroom at Mallory Square Park, and she refused to do so, becoming, quote, aggressive and argumentative and shouting profanities at him. The employee asked her to leave the bathroom, which by that point she had been in for more than an hour because he needed to clean it, police said.
Oh.
As the tirade continued, police wrote that the employee left and flagged down Key West police officers William Howell and Raymond Roscoe. Howell wrote that as he got out of his cruiser, the lady was yelling obscenities towards the city worker. He said he attempted to give her several city ordinance warnings, but she interrupted him and cursed him out. Howell wrote that he told her to stop screaming obscenities because of children and tourists in the area, to no avail.
That sounds actually very believable to me, that Key West cops would be very instructional at first.
They got to deal with a lot of drunk people at 9:30 a.m., I'm sure.
Yeah, but it's also just a bunch of tourists who often do sort of sober up in their behavior if they're told to, you know what I mean? So that's good.
According to police, after Howell gave her the ordnance warnings and her ID card, she snatched the card and said loudly, "You can kiss my ass." The officers were getting ready to leave when they noticed that she had called 911 while standing feet away from the officers, police said. So they hand her, they're like,
This is
listen,
a great idea.
you got to leave the bathroom when they tell you to leave the bathroom. You're yelling, come on, stop doing that. And she's like, nah,
Stop screaming obscenities.
And they're like, all right, listen, I'm going to write you this ticket. All right, let's get out of here. And they're walking away, and she calls 911.
This is, if you're being harassed by the cops, don't call 911 for more cops.
Also,
what
if the
do you
cops
mean?
handed you your ticket and are walking away, be glad that you're done.
Yeah, don't just snatch.
Don't call 911 because they're going to send more cops.
What did judges used to say? Don't snatch defeat from the jaws of victory. Like, you just sit down and shut up.
All right, so the officers are getting ready to go. She calls 911, standing right next to him. Howell, who's the cop, wrote that he and his partner told her that calling 911 without a legitimate emergency was a crime, and she replied, "I don't care, fuck you."
Oh, come on.
Police then placed her under arrest
That's
for
so mean.
misusing 911 and said things turned violent after Howell told her he needed to pat her down for weapons. Howell wrote that she said, "If I touched her, she would fight me." And according to the report, that's exactly what happened. During the ensuing scuffle with police, she hit Roscoe with her elbow and kicked and bit Howell.
Oh.
The report states Howell said the bite drew blood. He received first aid treatment at Lower Keys Medical Center, according to the report, while the lady was taken into custody on 2 counts of battery on a law enforcement officer, 1 count of resisting arrest, and another count of misusing 911, all felonies. She also faced a misdemeanor resisting arrest and disorderly conduct charges, according to jail records, because, Ingo, she was taken to jail.
You know, she had about 82 chances to not go to jail, to not have anything bad happen to her, and she chose wrong on each of them. If it's choose your own adventure, she chose badly every page.
Credit to Chris Gothner for Local 10 News, who wrote this really nice version of the story. Like, this is clearly not the Conch Life, which is just the police blotter that we normally read.
Yeah. So. I mean, but like... I mean,
know.
She was probably drunk and passed out in the bathroom, and then the guy woke her up and said, "Look, I got to clean up in here."
Yeah.
Who knows what shape the bathroom was in? I mean, it's Mallory Square where all the tourists
after
go
the
in.
Night.
Yeah, I mean, like, you just move on, dude. It's fine.
Or when the cops are like, "Here, you got this ticket."
Yeah.
You don't go like, "Fuck you," and then like call 911 as they're walking away from you.
Calling 911 like that is just such an entitled thing to do. Like, plus. Yeah, it's just dumb. It's
Also,
just dumb.
Don't bite anyone unless they ask you to.
Who do you think 911 is? It's the police. Who do you think
the
just
guys
gave
that
you the
are right
ticket?
next to you.
What do you think is this? Like some magic problem fixing thing? Like, no, it's the police. So bad. That's a great story. Great story. Yes.
All right,
good.
it's time for German Word of the
Should
Week.
be very
I'm
proud
very
of that.
proud. I am.
Apropos of nothing, it is the word is Bummelstreik.
Yeah. Bummelstreik.
Streiken is work action, which is, you know,
like a strike.
To put down your work. Arbeitsniederlegung. It's a strike. Strike is the same. It's except it's, you know, STREIK in German, right?
Streik.
So Streik. EI is always I.
Mm-hmm.
But Bummelstreik. Bummeln is to like loiter, to like walk slowly, to kind of.
Is it reflexive? Would you say ich bummle mich?
No, ich bummle. Like an Einkaufsbummel is to like wander around looking at shops, or Stadtbummel is to bummel through the Stadt.
Would you say ich habe gebummelt?
Nein, ich bummelte. Ich bin gebummelt. Ich bin durch die Stadt gebummelt.
Gebummelt.
But it's like the idea, there's spazieren gehen, which is like,
oh yeah.
And then wandern is the heightened version of that, which is to...
It's like going for a walk and then going for a German walk.
Walking with purpose fast.
Yeah.
And spazieren gehen is walking with purpose slower, like a little less. And then bummeln is just like to... The implication is kind of like aimlessly wander, kind of.
Yeah.
And so Bummelstreik is like a work slowdown where everyone kind of just works normally and doesn't kill themselves.
I work with a guy who does this every day.
Yes, this is. So there are many jokes about this. Like, yeah, the civil servants did it and no one noticed. It's like this is like Italy every day. So it's more of a work slowdown, but it's called a Bummelstreik.
Bummelstreik.
And it's a little bit like in Italy they do the like work to contract, where they only do what they're expressly supposed to do, and they don't take on any additional responsibilities or do any other tasks, and it screws up the entire economy.
Mm-hmm.
And they'll have that in Germany occasionally. Right now, Germany though, lots of strikes, pilots, baggage handlers, airports.
Wow.
Not a great time to fly to Germany.
Oh, interesting.
You got to check on.
I didn't know.
They announce the strikes ahead of time at least, so kind of know that it'll be bad. But Germany's got some strikes going on. I think contract renegotiations are happening.
Oh, also Solidarity WGA.
Yeah.
Okay, Ingo Corner.
Oh, that's about it.
You done? Okay, great.
I didn't save anything.
No, that's fine.
I'm very surprised that we're already at the end.
I know. Well, all right, everybody. We hope you've enjoyed this early version of the pod. The dogs have many vet visits coming up this week, including an oral surgery for Broads. So on Wednesday night, we'll record like normal.
He's getting braces.
He's not. And we'll give you all the updates from our return to fly. Oh, also, I'm going to Montreal tomorrow, so I will have been home for 24 hours, and I'm leaving again. So if you're in Montreal and you've got tips for me, especially on where I can get a sandwich near the Ritz-Carlton.
That's meatless
Sandwich, a good place to just get some bread or whatever, send me a tip.
A boulangerie?
A boulangerie.
Ouais.
I'm staying at the Ritz-Carlton because that's where they're putting me up. That's where the event is.
It's the Ritz-Carlton.
You can't make fun of French people like that.
I'm sorry, just French Canadians. Boy.
Way. Okay. So thanks everybody for listening. We'll talk to you later this week. And until next time, Slava Ukraini, and don't bite anyone unless they ask you to.
Don't bite cops. Can we just also make that an additional rule?
It's never going to turn out well for you.
No.
Okay. Bye.